So that looks spectacular. Nice addition to this commemorative set. Hello, this is BJ from Hearns Hobbies and welcome again. This time I have something a bit special. I'm going to start the build on this little sucker. So this is the limited edition Wild One Blockhead Motors edition with the Hearns Hobbies and Night Customs special pack. So there were only 10 of these made, and this particular one is number 1 of 10. So I'm going to build this and then we're going to offer it off for sale, and it's going to have a few different things involved as well. But we're going to start building because it's going to be very much like our other build logs, and I hope you enjoy it. So if you do, please give me a like on the bottom there, and if you want to see more of this content, think about subscribing. So let's go to the overhead camera and let's have a closer look at the front of the box. There we go. So you've probably seen this in quite a few other videos before. I've gone through about what we've added to this. Just quickly, we'll recap. So this is for the Hearns Hobbies 75th anniversary. We've got our logo here. This is the Night Customs logo because this also includes 3D printed engine parts with a couple of different muffler arrangements printed by Hearns Workshop. And then we also have Japanese RC car magazine, which is featured the Blockhead on the front cover and also in the story, and then also that comes with a Blockhead parts box. There's also a 9-step speed controller included, and then also there's the certificate of authenticity. Okay, so just on the back here you'll see it's a bit more info, and then here's the number here, number 1 of 10. All right, so let's start off by sliding off the little box band, and we'll get into all the bits and start building. So let me just pop that aside and put this over here. All right, so I've got the front again. Open her up. Here we go. All right, so we've got our box here. This is the parts box with the Blockhead. We've got our certificate of authenticity right there, and that's signed by myself, Brett, and Nick. Number 1 of 10. I'll pop that aside there for safekeeping. There's a speed controller, a 9-step speed controller. And in here we have the box with the Hearns Workshop engines. They're the resin engine parts. I'll put that aside as well. And then we have the magazine, which is actually in the base. So let's get into there because we'll need the instructions anyway. All right, so we've got some chassis components. We've got the tires there. All right, so there's the magazine. So Rajicon magazine. So Blockhead Motors edition, and then we've got it just here somewhere. Here we go. So that looks spectacular. So nice addition to this commemorative set. All right, I'll put those aside because I don't need all those bits for the building as yet. I'll keep that safe. All right, I'm going to need the manual, which is right here. Slide this over to this side. All right, let's move that back. Let's see what we need to do. Okay, so this is all about the ready control and all the gear that we need. Some of the paint. And here we go into starting the build. Okay, so it gets straight into decals. Let's start with on the chassis. We got this indication of charging up the battery. We don't have the battery here, so I'm just going to go into the building of the actual kit. There's the alternatives to the lights as well. So let's get into it. So I need to find the chassis, which should be a big chunky bit here somewhere. Just got that right here. There you go, big chunky part. So we got this bull bar type of arrangement already designed into the mold. All right, here we go. Nice looking classic chassis. So there's this mold piece here which we need to remove as indicated. So we'll just use our side cutters. Just give that a quick trim. All right, so that's out. I always like a clean build, so I'm just going to trim around here and get rid of this excess. Keep it neat. And just be careful when you're cutting these because it is pretty chunky plastic. You don't want to slip and cut yourself. Okay, so that's all nicely trimmed. Alright, what do we need now? We need the decals. So they're big decals, and then we're going to go over here, which is the lights as well. So we'll concentrate on step 2, which is the decals on the side. Now I've got my isopropyl here, which I have used before for some stickers. Now I'm going to wipe it down with isopropyl because that's going to help the decals stick. And there's those big panels right here. Okay, let's open this up. I'll remove the tape so it doesn't inadvertently grab onto the decals as I'm pulling them out. Keep all those parts aside, keep them safe. All right, now I've got some scissors here. All right, so I'm just going to cut across all this to get to these large decals. We'll just roughly cut them out first because we can trim them up once they're off. It'll be a lot easier to handle when they're off this large sheet. All right, so there's decal number 1. Actually, let's do it this way. It feels more natural to cut around this way. Okay, so here's our 2 large decal sheets. Now I'm just going to trim them down. Let's have a quick look and see how they fit. Okay, so you've got cutouts here to avoid these moldings. And also these parts here. Okay, let's get to trimming. It's best to take your time with these, just so you don't make any mistakes. So again, I'm just going to do the rough cut along the obvious edges, and then I'll use a smaller set of scissors. I'm going to use some curved scissors because I can get into there very easily. Alternatively, you can use a knife as well. Okay, so that's a large main areas cut. Do this one as well. Now when I apply decals, I would normally use the isopropyl alcohol to clean the plastic part, so I've got a really good bond. There's no mold release. That can stop the decal from sticking well. And then I'll also use a heat gun or a hairdryer, just so we can make the decals conform to the surface. And it also activates the glue too. Because what happens is the glue is applied to the decal here while it's been printing. And when you put it onto, say, a non-clean or a cold surface, then it doesn't actually bond to that surface well. Once you apply heat, the adhesive softens up and it grips a lot better. So that's what helps it stay. Well, let's throw my scissors around. All right, here we go. So I've got some curved scissors here. This is going to help me get into these smaller areas. So just carefully cut those out. because this is such a pretty car, it started on the decals so that you don't have any mechanical objects in your way when you're trying to apply them. So in a way, when you're building a Tamiya car, this is quite unusual, putting decals on so early in the piece. Okay, so let's just cut these edges. Now if you haven't used curved scissors before, they're a godsend. Usually you use these for cutting polycarbonate bodies, and you see how the head is very small, so there's a lot of leverage goes through thick plastic. But when you're cutting small items like these decals, they make it a lot easier. Okay, just one more to cut on this one. Alright, so there's one ready. Just a few more to cut here. Just slightly different shapes from left to right. Okay, a little bit at the front. Just two more bits around here. So a little bit of a complex one here. All right, there we go. I've got the two bits here. And before we stick them on, and before I clean this up with the isopropyl, I'm just going to have a quick check. Just put on here and make sure it all fits really nice. You don't have to check too carefully because Tamiya are generally pretty spot on when it comes to things like this. And that looks absolutely spot on. And we'll do the same for the other side. And again, absolutely spot on. All right, so let's start applying. Now I'm going to get a small tissue here. All right, I've just got a regular tissue. I would normally use something that's lint free, but this should do for the moment. And like kitchen towel generally would work better. All right, so I'm just going to wipe this down with the isopropyl. I'll do the same with this side. Now with polycarbonate bodies, you generally don't rub it down with isopropyl because they'll have a clear protective coating on them and they won't have any oil, so they'll be perfectly clean anyway. So it'll just be a wasted exercise doing it on that. But for these, and a bit like when you're applying double-sided tape, it's best to do this just to make sure it's perfectly oil free. Okay, so you can see the isopropyl is already evaporated. Same on this side too. And I'll close off the isopropyl, we don't need that yet. Don't want to spill it. Now I've got here a bit of detergent, water. There's 1 drop of dishwashing detergent in here. That's just to lower the surface tension so that when the decals are put on top, you'll be able to reposition them and it'll also remove any air bubbles. Okay, so that's going to be this one. And what I'll do is I'll peel off little section first, chop that off. All right, so I've got backing on part of it, and then part of it is sticky. So that allows me to move it around, reposition it. So we can get it on absolutely perfectly. All right, so it's a little bit off. Oops, probably a bit too far. So you see how it allows me just to peel it up. And we don't have to be concerned about it tearing or stretching. There we go, that's absolutely perfect. Oh, maybe not absolutely, hang on, let's just reposition that a little bit. Right, let's pick it up a little bit more. So you see how much leeway I have to actually move this decal around until I'm happy with the location it's at. Right, I think I'm pretty happy with it right there. Okay, we'll press all this down. No air bubbles. And then over here, now there's not a lot of water left there because it's probably been sucked up while I've had this resting. Just apply a little bit more. And then I'll leave a little bit on the end so I can tension this and position it. I've lined it up with the top of the chassis. Happy with that. Press it down, and then we'll peel off the backing. Okay, and that's on. Okay, and at this point I would normally use a hairdryer or a heat gun to seal that up, but since I've got that packed away, I'll do that a bit later. Alright, so look at that, it's already really colourful. Looks awesome. Okay, so we're just going to do the same thing on the other end. Alright, water. Got my decal here. Again, I'm going to slice off a little bit of the backing. Just be careful when you peel it up from those points that you cut, because they can tear if you're not careful. Alright, so let's position. It's gone just about where I wanted it to, but I'll pick it up a little bit. Adjust it ever so slightly. That'll do. Let's see, does that look about right? Probably could move it up a tiny bit. And again, you can see how easy it is for me to just reposition all these. It's probably a bit high now. I think that's pretty spot on. It's a little bit too far, a little bit too far. There you go. So what I was doing was bunching up here a little bit, and you can see how easy it was for me to just peel it up, reposition. Let's peel this back. Gonna put a little bit of more water here. It's been sucked up by the backing paper. Leave a little bit on the end so I can tension it and adjust. Alright, so just need a tiny bit higher. There we go. Love it. Okay, so I've got both sides. All right, so that's step, what's that? Step 2's done. All right, so hairdryer will help us get it all down nice and flat. It'll also help remove all the little edges where it's bunched up on some of the details, and it'll help it sit flat and also be more permanent. Okay, so what have we got now? We've got step 3. So step 3 are the light pods. I'll put this aside over here. Do we need this anymore? No, we don't need the detergent water anymore, so I'll seal that up, put it aside. All right, light pods. Let's find the light pods. Now they're going to be, what colour plastic is that? No, it's not that. Now if you're really not sure where to go looking for parts, and it's always listed in the back if you're not familiar with a Tamiya manual. So here we go, they've got all the small screws and such, and these are all the plastic parts. Okay, so what we're looking for R components, and the lenses which will be clear. Okay, so R is this part there. Oh, they're actually yellow, so there we go. And then the clear, where are the clear? Clear lenses will be here somewhere. Oh, I think I found them. Just hidden on the bottom here in this accessory pack. Alright, so let's get this out. So they're the clear parts. So we've got the lenses here, which we're going to cut out. So there's a few spares. The rest of these parts I don't need at the moment, so I'll pop them back in the box. But I will need these, which are the lights. So let's put those there. We'll go back to where we were at the front. Okay, so just this bit here, actually, right there. Okay, so it's telling me to make 4 lenses, probably because there's lights in the traditional front part as well, aren't there? Oh yeah, so there's lights there too. Okay, so we need to cut out 4 lenses now. And we need to make 4 lights. Okay, so we're making those all at the same time. Okay, so R1 and R2. Let's see. R1 and R2. That'll be these ones here, side cutters. And you can see here, you can also put the LEDs into these if you wish, as an optional extra. It's very similar to the comical grasshopper we built earlier. They can also take LEDs in the lights. Okay, so there we go, we've got those. Just cut out these. Right. Okay, so I've got all these and I've mixed them all up, which probably wasn't a good thing. Let's just spin these over. That'll help us recognize them. Alright, so those are a pair, and then we've got these as a pair, and now let's cut the lenses. Now that's where our curved scissors are going to come in handy. Now let's see if this has got protective coating on them. No, so they are as is. Alright, so let's just chop these. They're really, really thick, so they're going to be really strong. I'm just going to cut all the way across this. Right there. Okay, so I've got my 4 there. Now let's see. You just got to get the angle of the light right so you can see the indentations on the clear, so you can understand where you have to cut. Now it's probably safer to cut a little bit on the outside of the mark, because that way you can trim them down later, but you can't do that if you do it the other way around, of course, if you trim too much off already. Alright, so let's trim that. Now I'm doing the straight panels first because it's obviously easier to control. Okay, and now we'll start cutting the curve. Okay, so I'll spin this around so the curve matches. Get the angle right. Try that again. Alright, so let's see how that fits. Oh, it does have a protective coating. So where's the protective coating? On this side? This side looks dull, so I must be this side. Oh, here we go, it's coming off. I'll take these off so you get a really clear finish. Let's put that aside. Alright, so it does make a huge difference. Very clear lenses. Okay, let's see if that fits. That's the thing about this protective film, just statically sticks to everything. Alright. Let's try this. So that probably fits in like this. And this one across the top. And don't like it. Probably needs more trimming. So basically you just got to trim these down until they fit properly. So just take a bit more material off. Can't really see what I'm doing there. Trim this end as well. Alright, let's see how that looks now. Feels a bit better. Now, as soon as these clamp together, I think we're pretty right. There you go. Alright, so there we go. Probably needs a little bit more trimming because this edge is a bit sharp and it's not sitting straight. So you just got to take your time and just slowly adjust it until it feels right. That's perfect. So you see that's all sitting in nice and straight now. You got the two halves, they're joined up perfectly. So that's ready for screwing together shortly. Let's just prepare all these other ones too. So I know I need to cut those in a bit tighter. Okay, so that's off. We'll check this one as well. Yep, it's perfect. Alright, so let's just take off the protective coating. Get it ready. Alright, so that's ready there. And we've just got two more to do. That one, and just one more. All right, quick check in these. Perfect. And this one. I guess after you do the first one, the others just become really easy. All right, and that's perfect too. All right, so let's take off the protective film on these last two. Takes a bit of dexterity, this. All right, that's off. And one more. All right, they're off. Let's clean up the desk a little bit. Move all this stuff over here. All right, so I need to find some screw packs. Now, screw packs are going to be in this box, I reckon. Let's just open it up. And let's see. Now, hopefully, these will be in bag A. So that's one. Let's move this over here. What do we need? We need some 3x15s, which are quite long, and some 3x10s, which are sort of common size. So let's just make sure here. You can always double check in the back to see that those screws are going to be there. So you see here, so that's bag A, and that's steps 1 to 16. Okay, so I need the 3x15s, which are there, and the 3x10s are listed there as well. Okay, so let's just cut that open. All right, so I've got some bits there. I've got the shocks. Other bits and pieces, probably won't need those yet. Keep those there. All right, so we've got a whole bunch of screws. Now these pictures are of the screws and their actual correct size, so you can always just measure up to those. Let's see. Won't be those, won't be those. 3x15. 3x15 is that one there. And the 3x10s there as well. Okay, so let's chop this open. Pop those in my little parts tray so I don't lose all the bits. Okay, so there's my 3x15. Matches exactly, so I need another one of those. Okay, 2 of those, and I need 4 3x10s. 2, 3, 4, and I need 2 O-rings. Now where are the O-rings? They probably live in, oh, they were in this bag over here. All right, so I've got some O-rings. And they're the black ones. Okay, so there's 2 black ones right there. One there. Actually, I'm getting ahead of myself here because I should actually be screwing these together, and we need the 2x12s for doing that. And the 2x12s are in that first bag I opened as well. Okay, so we've got these 2x12s. All right, so since we've got 4 lights, we're going to need 4 pairs. Okay, there we go. All right, so I'm going to screw these all together now. Let's put the lenses in place. Screw there, screw there. Got a small screwdriver. Might need a really tiny one though. Let's see how this one works. Usually a number 1 will be good. Yeah, it's perfect. Okay, so we'll just tighten that up. So the lenses are just clamped into place. You don't want to over tighten these screws because it is a soft plastic and it's easy to thread them. Once they get threaded, they're going to be easy to fall apart. So that feels pretty tight. That one's tight. All right, so that's done. So we just got to do that for the remaining 3. So I always like to have each screw bite a little bit first before I screw in the other one, and then I'll be able to concentrate on doing them up tight. Again, you don't want to overdo it. All right, so there's another one. Okay, I've got the 3rd one together, right here. Okay, and almost there. This one. Okay. All right, so this is actually step 3, and already prepared for step 4. So this is, with this one tightened up, that's step 3 completed with the 4 headlights. Now we're going to move on to step 4, where we already had the screws. Now there's shock stays there as well, which are going to be in here somewhere. So these are the shock towers for the front end. Now where are they? They're actually in this little bag here. In this bag with the shocks. Alright, so there's the right one. And there should be the left one in here. Okay, so there's the left and the right. The left is actually stamped with an L in it, and the right has got the R stamped into it. So you've got those there. Alright, so what are we going to do first? Let's put in the... I reckon we'll put the shock towers in first. Okay, so the right one gets screwed down into here. Okay, so there's 3x10s, so 2 of those. Alright, so I'm going to be using the number 2, the bigger screwdriver. Okay, so just a couple of turns of each one just to get it to seat into place. Same with the left. Okay, so always put in the, if there's 2 screws holding this together, always put both of them in. A couple of rotations just to home it in. Because if you do one screw all the way, then you may have it not aligning properly for the other screw in the hole. So I always do this. So each side a little bit at a time. And then just tighten it up so it's just nipped up. That's good. Okay, so let's do this side now. All right, there we go. We've got shock towers on. It's already starting to look like something. Okay, so what have we got now? Now we've got lights. All right, so we've got the long screws, which go from the bottom. They're on this bull bar looking bumper area here. All right, so it's popping a screw through. Got an O-ring. Now the O-ring is going to give it a bit of shock absorbance when it hits something, so it doesn't full on tear the light out. And then we're going to screw the light on. Now when you screw these on, you don't want them super tight. You basically want it at a point where, see how I'm turning it here? You want it to have some resistance there, so it's not going to spin around when it drives, and it's also not totally squishing the O-ring, because you want that to have actually some give in it. Okay, so that's good. Now let's do the other side. It's going to do exactly the same thing, so O-ring goes over the screw. We'll screw on the headlight. So we'll screw it all the way up, and again, so this is where it starts feeling a bit of resistance. Start turning this. Probably could do with a little bit looser. This lightest movement, so there we go. Okay, so you haven't got the O-ring totally squished, but it's going to give it some absorption. There we go. So I've got a bit of colour there already. Okay, so that's step 4. Now what we've got is step 5, the front axle. But I think we're out of time. So what we'll do is we'll continue that with our second episode of the Blockhead build. So here we go. This is where I've gotten so far with the Hearns Hobbies Night Customs 75th anniversary Blockhead Motors Wild One. And what I'll do is next time around, I'm going to have my heat gun ready. We'll firm up all these decals that I've got on the sides, and we'll continue building the front axle of the Wild One. So thank you for joining me.